Hello and welcome to Anything Goes. Hope everyone is doing all right out there and you've had a good weekend. There's no Jason tonight. He's out doing obviously more interesting things than being with me here tonight. But my good friend has offered to step in to help me get through the next hour. Carl Gotro, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How's everybody doing?
Everyone's doing all right. I'm doing all right. Usually anything goes, we talk about anything, but we're probably going to talk a bit about Bigfoot tonight, aren't we? I think you want to get into something, do you?
Sure, why not?
Well, what was the latest thing that happened with you? Something
Oh,
grown.
yeah, something hit the house a couple of nights ago. Something loud. I mean, I was asleep and I woke up. It was one of those things where, you it wakes you out of a dead sleep, and it almost felt like, to me, it shook the house. And I went back and I listened to it on the camera the next day, and I wasn't even really going to put it up, but it was just the reverberation of it that was so. And it sounds like it's like almost like wood on wood. It almost reminds me of that first video we got when we first were using that little nanny cam of that tree knock. And I went and looked in the yard, couldn't find any rocks, but the weird thing I did find in the yard, me and Joseph Dietz was talking about that. I was explaining it to him. It looks like an old piece of glass, and it's a greenish color, and it's light, really, really light, not like modern day glass, and it doesn't have a sharp edge on it. It looks like it's been kind of sanded down. Uh, Strange. I had no idea where that came from.
What's when does activity die down, or is it now when it ramps up?
Right now is usually when we start, it start seeing some activity, and usually around December, January, February is like when it's really, really, really active. And always kind of wondered, why that was. And I didn't even think about this. Somebody said, well, that's when the hunters start to go into the woods, and could have something to do with it. Could be the cooler weather. I mean, I know if I was 7 foot tall and covered with hair, I'd want to be in a shady place near water. I mean, it's got to be hot. I mean, because it gets so hot down here with the humidity. I mean, have no idea where they go in the summertime, but
Yeah, I'm just going to download those maps that Rachel sent me
okay.
that show where you're at, because you've done a bit of research recently, haven't you?
Yeah, we did when Rachel had got pushed that night in the bed, and we started looking a little more into it. Well, we always knew we lived on an old plantation, but now we found this map that they actually had a Civil War battle basically right on top of us where we live. So that's just one more weird thing to add to the mix.
Mm. Let me just try and find it here. I was just amazed how close you are, how big that swamp is. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, you know better than me. You live out there, but when you see it like that, that's a big. You can't see it that clear, actually, can you?
Yeah, I mean it, and that's just that's not even a quarter of it. I mean,
So you're roughly around where that yellow circle is,
yeah,
and
pretty much
all that
around.
green there is all the swamp there.
Yeah,
So it's oh, what's the date on that? 1863.
yeah. Those are,
So what was there back then? Then do you know some sort of plantation?
it
What was
was
up?
a yeah. The guy's name was I can't think of his first name, but it's a they used to call it the Mouton Plantation. I mean, this thing runs for miles, and where we at is the highest, pretty much the highest ground around here. We're like 10 feet higher than everybody else because we're basically on an old ridge, earthquake fault. And I guess it would make sense if you were going to keep animals, down here and, below sea level, you'd want to find the highest ground to keep your animals and livestock. So this is what they used to call the horse farm. And they used to keep the horses and I'm sure the cattle and, all the other critters that they had. You don't want them to drown because it floods really, really easy around here.
Well, what else did you want to talk about the effects of seeing them?
Well, no, I mean we were just talking about me and I think it was Scott Pace one night, just talking about the ramifications of seeing one of these things. Gary Arnold can tell you about it. I mean, and they had these researchers that go out and look for them, and I guess thank God that they do, but a lot of people want to see one, but there's consequences that come along with it. That you have nightmares, you just have these weird feelings, and it almost turns your life upside down. You almost get obsessed with it, and you look for answers, and there are none. I mean, I can go back to the 1400s, right? 2 hours from me, right here in New Orleans. There's written accounts of both these things. What they call the rougarou and the loup-garou, which the loup-garou is almost like a dogman type creature. And, those are actual written accounts in New Orleans newspapers. And, I always said, where there's smoke, there's fire. So,
I think the percentage of just people who see them, the percentage of researchers is quite low, isn't it? Because as much as people are going out, it's those that are like hiking or hunting, or just see one crossing the road.
Right.
It's hard, isn't it, for researchers who want to see one? Like, you're probably thinking, God knows why do you want to see one? But that's what they want, isn't it? That's what they want. But they maybe get more with gifting and picking up prints and stuff like that. But the chances of seeing one, I think, it's just pot luck, isn't it? It has to be. It'd be really hard to go and find one.
Well, I always say, if you go 100 miles into the middle of the woods, you probably walk past 90% of them. Seems like, from what I hear in people's stories and accounts, seems like they want to be on the verge of civilization. Not saying that there aren't any out there. It probably is. But I mean, it seems like you hear more and more stories about them, infringing on neighborhoods and, shopping malls, casinos. I mean, we have a report of, one digging in a dumpster in a casino here down, an hour away from me on the Texas-Louisiana border. I mean, so is it just people have, more access to video and cameras, because everybody's walking around basically with a video recorder and a camera in your hand nowadays. I mean, so I don't know. Are we just catching them more, or is it more activity? I really don't know.
Boots on the ground with Barb. You only see them if they make a mistake or they want you to. In my opinion, I agree with that.
Yeah,
it's usually if they. It has to be that they're distracted with something and they haven't cottoned on that you're there. I don't know who I was listening to the other day, and they were saying that their sense of smell, it's probably unlikely that they have a great sense of smell, unlike some other animals. I wish I shouldn't have started this because I don't know what I'm talking about. I'll have to remember where I
do. It's okay. Don't worry.
Interesting point. It was an interesting point to say that it's a different, if they were more like us or even monkeys, say, their sense of smell is nothing like a dog, say, or some other animal that has a good sense, smell. I don't know about the hearing. I don't know. They must have
Yeah. And
something that
you know,
guides them to food and water and all sorts.
well, and I think we talked about this before. Everybody says it's going to take a body, and yeah, that would be great to have a body, but a body's only going to tell you so much. I mean, just like if I fall over and die right now, a coroner's going to come get me and say, yeah, this guy's 5'11", weighs 175 pounds, and he died of a heart attack. But you don't know what I'm thinking. You don't know what my intentions are. So I mean, it would go a long way, believe me.
It
But
would go a long way, wouldn't it? Though, I mean,
yeah,
if it was found and we knew, what its origins were, but then what?
yeah, exactly.
The question, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if I'm starting to change my mind about. Not change my mind, but think about this possible cover-up thing. Is it really a cover-up? People who say that, if you talk too much, or some people are getting close to the truth, they get, I don't know, wiped out or they disappear or whatever. I don't know would anybody believe anybody at this point, because we've heard so many things that are connected to Bigfoot. Even if someone out there has got the answer, who's to say? Sorry, my alarm's going. Why would anybody believe anybody at this stage?
I don't know. It might be a case where they don't know what to do with them either. I mean, or I don't know. I mean, you would think somebody like I said, these federal agents and the agents here, we call them game wardens. They got to know about these things, man. I mean,
I think we know about them, but I don't think they know about them. I think
right.
they're aware of them, but I don't think they hold any information as to
Right.
But I'm pretty sure they must have asked. Pretty sure that whoever they are accountable to, or anybody as a superior, they must have asked, what is this thing? What are we being told? I don't know.
Well, for me, I put a lot of stock in what the Native Americans say about them, because it seems like they had more interaction than anybody with these creatures. I mean, they used to trade with them and live side by side with them. So, and they're always everything you see or I've read and talked to people, Native American people, they call them a race of people. I mean, so
that's a true statement from Brandon. Common sense doesn't work with Bigfoot. You're right.
Well, no.
Doesn't make sense. Rachel's just reminded me to ask you about what's been going on with the dogs and what you've been doing and what you forgot to do. And then something happened.
Well, the night, I think I know what she's talking about. So they had been getting, they at some point in the night, they just kind of go berserk, just start, whining, howling and stuff. And one night I just went and I just said, hey, can you just leave my dogs alone? Stop scaring them, whatever you're doing. Just can you please stop agitating them? So that same night, that's when we heard that big bang. I don't know if it was a protest or what, or they just didn't like the talk I had with them, or, because a lot of people say that, just go out there and talk to them. Sometimes they listen. And I guess that's what she's referring to. She said, well, maybe you shouldn't have did that. I said, well, maybe not. I don't know. Like just getting back, who knows with these things? I mean, like I said before, if we just change any little thing around here, it's like they don't like it and they let us know about it. I mean, it's just something simple as putting pine shavings down in our yard,
That's if that is Bigfoot, because you seem to have a lot of weird things going on.
Yeah, I mean,
where do you draw the line at what's doing what?
exactly. I mean, who knows? I mean, who knows? I mean, there's so many things that could be in play here. I mean, we really need somebody to come sort it out, and I think we do have somebody who's very interested in it. A lot of people might even know because he's done a lot of shows on the Travel Channel, a lot of paranormal shows. He actually did a show. It was called Ghosts of Morgan City, and it is a little town here in Louisiana that I'm actually from. Crazy enough, that there was a series on the Travel Channel that he was on, and he's supposed to come, but I think they're filming a movie right now. So I guess he's like a part-time actor too. So I think his name is Jeremy Leonard. And if anybody wants to look him up. So he's gonna come try to help us, give us some answers. I think he's doing a little bit of research on the property, the land, and get a little bit better feeling for what went on, what took place here.
I can see Kerry's in the chat. He's on about they're going down to do a documentary. But Donny's, is it Donny's first? He's got quite a lot of stuff going on, so that'll be interesting.
Oh yeah, the standing goats.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jeff and Donny saw a dogman.
Yeah, I heard. I saw that. I heard it when they were on the show. Yeah, I mean, and he's sitting there doing the interview, and he's getting pelted by rocks. So I mean, it's not the goats throwing the rocks, and rocks just don't fly, fall out the sky. If it does, it's a meteorite, and it's probably gonna crash through your roof. So I don't know. It's just weird. I mean, like I said, everybody tries to put him in a box, and I don't think you can.
No, it's all environmental, isn't it? Wherever they are, they seem to act in different ways.
Yeah.
I don't think they're coming for food, though. I don't think they're coming for food, are they, when they're going to these properties? I'm pretty sure there's plenty of food around.
Yeah.
And it has to be sort of curiosity, or I don't know.
Probably so, and just out of maybe sheer boredom, because the food they were taking, I mean, they took 50 pounds of dog food in a couple days, but I mean, that wouldn't be enough to sustain one, I don't think, or two or three, So maybe if they do, come visit someplace and like, look, there's some free dog food, let's go ahead and get a little snack while we're here. I mean, I'm sure they'll take advantage of anything instead of working for it,
Yeah, opportunists maybe, Brandon says, what's your opinion on Dogman? For me, if Jeff says he's seen one, then he's seen one, that they exist. Or what he describes, he says he saw a muzzle on it, the ears on it, it was lying down. There's something out there, isn't there, with a muzzle and looks like a dog, or a big wolf, or I don't know. But I believe that they're out there. What they are, I've no idea.
Yeah. Who knows? Like I said, I keep saying that, and that's a good answer. Who knows? I mean, it's something. I mean, because too many people are seeing them, and all you have to do is have one account that's real, and guess what? You got yourself a dog man. Just like with a Sasquatch, or with anything.
Yeah. Zach, you are late on this, but yeah, they've had cameras, they've had all sorts. Go and check out Carl's channel, and also Kerry did a documentary at Carl's place. Is it number 8, number 7?
Number 7, I think.
Number 7. So yeah, catch up on when you've got time, because I know he's busy. Tracy Bowers calling around still every night?
No, not every night. I mean, it's and that's the thing, you know, if somebody does come here, I would encourage them to stay at least a week because you know it's so hit and miss. I mean, it's they could come tonight or it could be another week, or sometimes they come every night, or you know what we think is coming here with the evidence, with all the evidence that we have gathered to this point. You know, something with a 17-inch foot.
Mhm.
It looks like a caveman. You know, the one I actually saw running that day is coming here. I don't know why. You know, at first we thought it was dog food. Then we took the dog food away and the bird seed. Don't forget about the bird seed either. I mean, they were eating bird seed, a whole container, or 2 containers of bird seed a night. So
That's a lot. It's a lot of effort.
and Rachel, poor Rachel, she would go fill them up, and she'd go out the next day, and them damn squirrels. They,
It's going.
okay.
Yeah, I don't think squirrels come out at night anyway, did they?
No, and it could have, you know, it very well could have been a raccoon because look, a raccoon could get in anything. But that one bird feeder we had, I mean, it had a pretty good size round top on it, and it had several threads. You know, it took all of my hand to unscrew it, and it had like 5 threads on it. So I don't know if a raccoon, he may have been able to get into that, but I mean, but there was no spillage on the ground hardly. You know, you might find a few pieces here, but if it'd be an animal like that, you would just like the dog food. If it had been a bear or some kind of rodent, you'd have stuff. A bear would have just ripped the little container apart and just ate all the food and probably threw it in the yard. I mean, this looks like, you know, somebody came in just like me, just opened it up and took 50 pounds of dog food. I don't know if they ate it right there on the spot or what.
I'm a little bit, you know, about food, that I think just any creature can come along, and even little critters can sniff out food, can't even rats. And so I always think, you know, when people say they've left out food, gifting, and there was usually critters leave crumbs, but there must be other critters that come after the
Yeah.
other critters and clean up the crumbs from before. I just think it's really hit and miss with food.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could be them, absolutely, but I don't think it's the most. But unscrewing something, yeah, no, that's a different matter, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Putting it in.
Well, you know what else is interesting too is, you know, when we had that little shelf before it got knocked down, and that's a mystery in itself. That happened when we were on vacation. We had put some little rocks, little marbles and rocks, and we put them in a little bowl, in a little paper plate, and the blue rocks and the blue marbles were gone. Not any of the other colors. And if that would have been a squirrel, or just for some habit, they couldn't have moved because not the wind one. They were too heavy. The wind wouldn't have moved them, and they were underneath kind of the overhang of the shed. And I just find it interesting that only the blue ones were taken or missing, and they weren't on the ground, or we couldn't find any anywhere. So I don't know. Maybe we have a critter that just likes blue rocks and blue marbles. I mean, they don't mess with the other colors. It's just the blue, you know?
Yeah, it's strange. Even Snow White Bigfoot had blue stuff being taken and then brought back, and I don't know. Scott Pace says, any more activity in the house?
Hey, Scott. No, not really. I mean, not since that one incident, you know, and I went talked to him inside the house, you know, and just say, hey, can you cut it out? You know, you scaring Rachel. Nothing really. I mean, nothing like that for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's good then. So, what next for Bigfoot and finding out about this creature? I kind of get a little bit, head bangs on the wall, thinking there must be another way to find out what's going on or what it is. I don't know, because I'm stuck in England. It's not like I can even get out there and
Yeah,
get out
yeah.
into the woods or whatever. Because I would. I think I'd go out. I mean, I don't know. It's not just going out, is it? Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is just going out and you bump into one. Do I want to see one? I don't think I do.
Well, I think everybody wants to see one, but like I said, you just need to prepare yourself to see one
Yeah.
because, like I said, it comes with consequences. I mean,
Yeah. It's not everyone. Well, most people don't have a good reaction to it.
well, in all the stories I've heard, from everything I've ever seen, read, heard on the interviews, people who've run these things, it's almost like they try to run you out of the area first. Like they'll throw rocks and grunt and push trees down, and if you don't leave or heed the message, then it can escalate where they almost kind of like what happened to Carrie,
Mm,
almost escort you out, and then it can get bad. But I've heard some stories, and most of them have been old stories and hadn't been validated about these things hurting people or some killing people. But I haven't really heard anybody. The people I talked to who had this kind of activity going around their house, or think they have it going around their home, uh, they never, nothing's been hurt. Nobody's been hurt, or it's more just like they're almost uh, curious, and I don't know, just kind of like young teenage kids, just messing
if
around.
if you just look at Bigfoot as just another creature out there, like a bear or even a deer, say, or any animal under stress or trying to defend its young will attack you. If
Mhm.
you're there, doesn't matter whether you're Bigfoot or not. So the chances are someone could have been killed by one purely because of the situation. Like a
Right.
bear. Bears have killed people. You can get killed by a deer. Even if rutting male deers. Well, obviously it's males, isn't it? But any animal can kill you. So I think generally they don't, do they? So I think it kind of acts like most animals. Like bears, I don't think they're out to go and kill you. They kind of want to stay away from you. I don't personally
Yeah.
know, but my impression is that they don't really want to come up to you. It's either you're close to its young, or maybe near some food,
Mhm.
or something like that. So maybe it acts more, normal than we think it does.
Right. Yeah. And
And there's bound to be people who have just stepped into the wrong situation and have been killed.
oh, yeah. And we had a guy. This has been about a year and a half, 2 years now. He had a like a little hunting lease, a little hunting lodge, a camp. We call it here. We call it a camp, and it's not around water. It was hard land all around him, and he went up a couple of days before his buddies were going to go come meet him, and he just came up missing. Nobody found his body, and nothing was missing. His guns, his vehicle was there, his guns, his money, his credit cards. God just came up missing. And like 2020, it's hard for people just to come up missing. I
Mm.
mean, and they had they had all kind of detectives and stuff out there and said there hadn't been a vehicle come in there last 3 days since he had got there, because there's all dirt roads and stuff. So it's still a mystery to this day what happened to this guy. I mean,
yeah, I know. But there's lots of people I think who go missing and never get found. There's I know there's weird factors to that, but you don't know what's happened before they've disappeared, do you?
It might be an insurance claim. I mean, the guy might be living in Mexico right now. I mean, who knows? I mean,
Leon's in tonight. Crows like the color blue. It's a good point. And Strangeland says purple blue is the strongest energy color. But are we then thinking that they're that intelligent and they're that aware that they know that they are drawn to stones and crystals and things like that? Is any other animal like that? I don't know.
I just
Isa? Is it Isa? Isa Mars? It's almost like Bigfoot thinks you are their pets. Could be. Got any more? We're getting quite a bit of interaction from the chat, which is good. Just missed one there. Carl, how often do you hear the loud knocking down Fowler?
Like I said before, it's random. I mean, we could go a week and not hear anything, or 2 weeks, and sometimes every night something happens. So it's just so you can't predict it. I mean, it's just so random.
Just looking through.
What are they saying? Somebody was waving behind me.
What, really? I know Zach's been looking at your window. Is the curtain moving? Have you got the window open a little bit, or is it just the light?
No. No, the window's not open.
It looks like is anyone else seeing that? Like the curtains, like there's a little bit of a breeze. Maybe it's just my eyes.
Well, there is an air conditioned vent right up there, so maybe it kicked on. I don't know.
Moving it a little bit. Gene Hudson, Carl, how long were they coming around before you really knew something was coming around?
Oh man, that's a good question, because we've always heard the stuff with that the bangs, the knocks, and going back to Rachel used to tell me when I'd come home from work, or sometimes I would go have a few beers with the boys at night after work. She'd tell me she thought somebody was walking in the attic, or somebody was in the attic, and I would go check, and nothing. And when we first moved in here, we had a white German Shepherd. We got him he was a puppy when we moved in, and we found the same things, dead squirrels, dead possums in the yard, but had never really, and it was a single dog too, so we never really noticed any dog food missing or anything. So we always just assumed he killed them, or kind of like what was going on now. We found the dead possums and squirrels, and we thought our dogs had killed them, but they wouldn't even go around them.
So how long do you think then?
Well, we've been in this house for over 20 years, so I'd say maybe 20 years. Or for the day I found that footprint, it was December 4th, 2018. So that was a pretty good underlier right there.
What's this? Another one. Boarbirds decorate their nests with blue as well. It's just another.
Well, it's weird too. I wonder if because when we went walking this section of woods, close to my house right here, and this is pretty far deep back in there. All we found were blue beer cans. You think you would find like a different colored can or something, but every can we found back there was blue. Now, I'm not saying Bigfoot brought them back there. Maybe he's right. Maybe crows can pick up I'm sure they can. They're pretty good size. Maybe they can pick up a blue beer can. I mean, but it seems like every once in a while they would grab a Dr. Pepper can, a brown can, by accident.
It's interesting, isn't it? Blue seems to come up a lot. Lockbeard says, are you aware of any concrete evidence that Sasquatch people understand English? I think it's more about your intention, isn't it? And the way you say things. You don't necessarily have to understand what someone is saying to know their intention, or whether they're being calm or sarcastic or angry or whatever. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, if they understand English, I'm sure they probably picked up some along the way or whatever the native language is here. Because I could swear I've heard French even in the woods. Rich King, he's heard on some of our videos just walking in the woods, and we knew nobody was around because this was during COVID, during the lockdown. Nobody was even supposed to be out of their house, and we just got so bored one day. We said, let's just go walk in these woods, see what we can find. And you hear French on the audio. We didn't hear it at the time. It's kind of like the EVP kind of thing. But like I said before, you could probably go set a recorder in the middle of a field, and you'll probably get some kind of EVP where people had lived before, or where their energy just stays, because I'm sure it just doesn't go away.
And what if they can mimic, Bigfoot? What if they've overheard conversations, or maybe not even conversations, just simple words? If they can mimic owls and whatever else, who's to say they can't do it with, words? English?
Well, that's going back to the Native Americans. They say they're ventriloquists. So, they can mimic people, they can mimic animals. So I'm sure, if they have a set of vocal cords, like a parrot.
I don't know if parrots, do they have vocal cords? Parrots?
I'm not sure if they do or not. I know they just mimic, I mean, it's not really, they don't understand what they're saying, or, but I think these things do. I think they're smarter than just a dumb animal, just like a bear, or deer.
Carl, have you heard their laugh? Very low, deep, vibrates your chest.
I've never heard them laugh, but I've had deep vibrations in my chest the night that one was howling, or something. I'm gonna say something was howling, way louder than my dog. My biggest dog. So yeah, I was standing. That woke me and Rachel up, and when I was standing in the window, and it was basically what you'd call, I call it thumping. And I don't think it was my heart, because there was no reason for me to be scared, because I didn't know what the hell was going on. I mean, this woke us up like at 3:30 in the morning, just a god awful racket. And my dog's just freaking out. And thank God we got it all on video. So you can go watch it and come to your own conclusions. I mean, but you have a 150-pound German Shepherd that takes off towards the fence, and whatever starts going off, whatever it is on that video, that dog just stops dead in his tracks, puts his tail between his legs, and just walks back. Now, that's not my dog.
No,
that's not my dog. If that would have been a person, just ask Carrie. Carrie can tell you.
Just go back to the laugh. If you listen to Scott Nelson's presentation about the Sierra sounds, he says at one point he believes one of them is like almost telling a joke or saying something, and it laughs at something that it laughs at itself. It's on there on YouTube. You should check it out. Scott Nelson, when he's doing a presentation about how he discovered the Sierra sounds, and he talks about this kind of laugh or this kind of snigger. Just made me think of that then.
Well, you know, the guy who did the that samurai chatter video for us, the one who owns he's actually a recording engineer, sound engineer, told me that's what it sounded like, almost like not laughter, but like a adult scolding a child, like the tone and, you know, the way it was, I guess, presented, and almost like, you know, if you'd be hollering at one of your kids, you know, hey, stop, don't do that, or whatever. That's what kind of like what he got out of it.
Yeah, there's a bit of that in his Sierra sounds as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like one's, you know, having a right go. What did I've just missed a question? Oh, and Dee's in, Lady in the Woods. She hasn't forgotten about you.
Hey, Miss D.
She will be coming to see you. I've just lost the thing there. We go. And then I think Zach asked another question.
Hey, lady.
Yeah.
That's our little joke. Now you see, so there's something interesting with her. You see, me and her kind of compared notes, and you know, on TV you hear these people do this long whoop, the whoop. Well, I said, well, we don't hear that. I said, well, we have recorded as just a whoop, 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 like that. And she said, yeah, exactly. She said that's exactly what they do here. So, like I always say, it's the same thing except different in different locations, or, you know, different places.
Leon is coming up with all the data tonight. Although some parrots can sound exactly like the people they live with, they produce sounds without vocal cords. I did wonder. I didn't think. I mean, you'd think everything would, maybe, but obviously not. A voice box and here we go. Vocal track in the parrot is complex, but it starts with the syrinx. Instead of using the larynx, birds like parrots, crows, songbirds have a syrinx located where the trachea splits into the lungs. Very technical. Makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for that. Carl, have you just been so fed up that you go outside and say, stop, go away?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll leave my wife alone. Leave my dogs alone. Leave my wife alone. I mean, and nothing happened in the house again, but and that could be if it's a Bigfoot, it could be if it's a ghost or whatever, goblin, demon. But you know, I know that night that I went outside and I talked to him and asked him to please quit scaring my dogs. You know, that's the night that whatever hit the house. I say hit the house. I don't know what it hit. And I found that weird piece of glass. I wish I don't know where it is. I would show it to you. I had it somewhere around here.
Jamie Cottrell before said, is it sea glass?
I'm not really sure. You know, Joseph Dietz, I told him what I found. I explained it to him, and he said, that sounds like 1840s glass. Because it's a big hunk of glass, and it's light. Really, really light. And I mean, I know if I would take a modern day piece of glass that size, it would be a lot heavier than that piece. So I don't know. And it has that kind of weird greenish tint to it. And you can tell it's old. I kind of washed it and see if I could see anything a little bit better. But it's and like I said,
It's like opaque. Is it like opaque?
Yeah, kind of. And it's weird because, like I said, for a piece of glass, there's not a sharp edge on it. It almost looks like it's like I would have taken it and scraped it on the cement, like to get the sharp edges off, because there's not a sharp edge on it whatsoever.
Wonder where that's from.
I don't know. I had it right up here too. I don't know what Rachel did with it. She might have threw it away.
Jamie, very insightful. Parrots also lack a pair of lips.
Yeah,
That's probably it, isn't it?
they might.
Yeah, it does sound like sea glass, doesn't it? Or glass. That green, you can't see through it. It's kind of like an opaque.
Yeah, it's kind of cloudy.
Yeah, and they're smooth. They're smooth because
I can find.
rattling around with other stones and stuff to smooth it, I guess. I think it's a good option, isn't it? It's working for them, I think.
I don't know what she did with it. She probably threw it away. I don't know why, but
Over these things and commanding them to leave your house, leave you alone is a great option.
I'm sorry, I kind of missed that.
Sorry, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, if it works, I mean, but Rachel's scared to death to go in the back of the house now. I mean, so she won't even go in that room anymore. I don't have a problem. As a matter of fact, I'm waiting to see a shadow or something back there because ghosts don't scare me. I'm waiting to see a shadow or something back there one night walking into the kitchen because I'm going straight back there.
I'm just putting a link up to in the chat for Carl's channel in case anyone. I just saw Zach mention he didn't even know you had a channel, so there's some interesting stuff on there to check out, Zach. Just put that in the thing and I'll put it in the description after. So, Carl, is there more than one family group or just the one?
I think there is more than one because when we see on the video the shadows and stuff, there's at least 3 that I think we can I say identify, and I only say that because of size, and the one I saw running that day, people's I guess explanation of them was kind of the same, but I didn't get the full on view, like it was kind of more of a side angle, and just judging, and that's all I can do because I was riding in a car, and I don't think it was very much bigger than me, but it was very muscular, and it just had that weird motion. Like I call it cartoonish. Like that's the only way I can explain it. I mean, and then what it did. I mean, there's not a human alive that could do what this thing did. I mean, give me the best athlete in the world, like I said before, and they can't duplicate that.
In terms of what speed?
Yeah, I mean, this thing was doing this thing. I'm telling. Of course, I don't know because I didn't have a speedometer on it, but I was doing about 35 miles an hour in my vehicle, and I think, in my opinion, this thing was doing at least that. Maybe not that fast, but at least that. And it's because I know everybody's been in this situation. You're driving down the road and you see a squirrel or a kid on a bike, and you just had that instinct. Well, I'm going this fast, and this kid's going to run out, or the squirrel's going to run out, so I need to slow down, or I'm going to hit the squirrel or hit the kid. That's kind of like what happened to me. And it was just moving too fast to be a human, running. And like I said, just the motion of it was unhuman-like.
What sort of terrain was it going through? Running on?
It was actually running on top of a little ridge on top of the coulee, and just ran. It looked like it had been running, coming from that little portion of the woods where me and Rachel go walk in sometime. And I guess the weirdest thing of all was the motion, but its arms, where, you know, when a person runs, your arms move like this. Its arms were just straight down like this and just barely moving like this. Now it could have been carrying something, I don't know, you know, it could have been hurt. I really don't know if that's how they just run. And I told somebody the other day, if you take like the patty film and speed it up like 3 or 4 times, that would be the motion that it was running with.
Mm.
Very, very, I want to say very, very human looking, but very strange looking, but very, very efficient.
Mm.
Because it was covering a lot of ground with very, very little effort, and smooth, so smooth. I mean, I wish I could run like that.
Yeah, well, I imagine, you know, what are the strides? Going to be pretty big, aren't they? Some of them. Going to be
The ones, I mean, the ones we found, I mean, like were, I think I measured them from the print on the cement to the one in the, it was like 3.5, 4 foot, something like that. I mean, if I remember right.
Mm. You're going to cover a bit of ground, aren't you?
Yeah.
If you can move like that. Now, Zach again has brought up a good point. Well, it's a good question, and there's a good reason why you wouldn't do this for you personally. Carl, have you thought about setting up bait to capture them in the act or get closer evidence?
No. No. Because people told me a long time ago, you know, when we first got into this, don't ever feed them, you know, put any kind of food out. Matter of fact, they said take all the dog food and anything that's edible.
And more importantly, it's because it's where you live.
Right.
And that's could be inviting trouble, couldn't it? If you start doing that.
You know, when they see you as a food source, you know, if you start feeding them and they start to see you as which they probably did us, because they're like, hey, we can go here and get dog food and bird seeds. When you take the food away, you know, that's when things can get hairy, people say. I mean, because you don't want to be seen as a food source.
And not just that, it's on your doorstep as well, isn't it? And, you know, it's maybe different if you're out in the woods and you've got a spot where you can walk to and it's not right on your doorstep. But I guess for some people, they don't want the activity right on the property.
Yeah. Well, you know, and people always, and it's great ideas, you know. I mean, put up a mirror, put up these lights, put in these cameras and stuff like that. But what if that backfires? What if that makes them mad? Because if you go back and listen to our story on Bigfoot Odyssey, you'll see where we say when we put that camera up, that's when the rocks started getting thrown, and, you know, it kind of escalated, kind of like it pissed them off that we put the camera up, you know. You know, I've always heard, don't try to trick them, you know, because they can tell when you're trying to lure them into something. And, you know, I don't know if it's just that, you know, the feeling they get, or hell, they might be able to read your mind. Who knows?
Carla Bell here says, do not do bait. We were only feeding them with horses' sweet feed.
Well, you know, I think, like I said, we put out marbles and rocks and stuff like that, natural things, like, you know, don't have it be tied back to you. like a dog's toy, or something like that, like a marble or a rock or pretty rock or something natural, or something like that, or like I said, a dog's toy where it can't be tied to that person. And if you're researching, you're back in the woods and you want to feed them or whatever, that's fine. But I don't know if you want to be doing that around your house. I mean, just
Yeah. Larry M says, "Are you still using baby monitor camera? What are you using now?"
no. Right now we have it's a Nest Cam. It and it's like one of the best on the market. I mean, there's one better than this. Joseph researched this for me. Joseph has a guy who's into secure home security, and he said there's one actually better than ours, but I mean it's thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, isn't it?
Yeah,
But that's quite a good camera, isn't it? It picks up quite a bit of.
yeah, and it has a really good microphone in it too. People say, well, you need to put a recorder in the tree. But Keith was telling me, he said, no, he said, keep that recorder, keep that thing running, because he said it has a harmonic balancer in it. And it can detect the smallest sound. It almost like amplifies it. So and we have put recorders in the trees, and in the window of the shed and stuff like that, and we really don't get anything. Or maybe just nothing happened that night.
Mm. Carl, do they come around more when you don't expect, or when you expect them? Do they stop? That's an interesting question.
It's random. I mean, it's so random. It's weird because Rachel seems to be, like one night she woke up like at 3:30 in the morning, or 3:33, or like a weird time, and she said she just had a weird, funny feeling. And the next day she said, "Well, I'm gonna go check the camera, just to see what if there possibly could have been something on there," and there was. So I mean,
Mm.
maybe intuition,
Yeah, who knows? It is so random, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought about putting a little, just an audio recorder out nearer the tree, just to see what other sounds you might pick up. I know it's money again. Just say you had one,
Well, no, and then one of the reasons we did it too, stopped doing it too, because we tried it in the summertime and the cicadas were so bad. I mean, that's all. If you want to hear 12 hours of cicadas singing or whatever, it's like, man.
Okay, fair enough. That's yeah, never thought about that. There must be so many sounds at night from different things. So yeah. Carl, do you recommend a type of recorder, or is any fine? Do you mean a camera? As in a camera?
Well, if you're going to do a camera, get one that records. That's, so you can document something if something does happen. The little nanny cams are good, cheap. It's not a high definition, but it's made for watching a baby. But I mean, we did catch some interesting things on it. The audio is not great, but I mean, if you think you have some kind of activity like that going around your house, yeah, go just buy a cheap nanny cam.
Mm.
It's easy.
I think, the likelihood of trying to capture something is pretty slim, isn't it? I mean, you're lucky you've got what you have with all the activity that you've had.
Yeah.
What's the key? Don't spend too much, or, I don't know. Depends where you're at and what you're doing. But obviously, the more you spend, the better quality of something you're going to get. I don't know if I'd rather go with audio. Obviously, around your place, there's lots of other noises going on. But if you're in the woods, I would definitely leave audio recorders out.
And another thing too that helps is on our camera, It doesn't. It has an infrared, but you can turn it off. So what happens is in the night, when it just goes in night mode, when the infrared's not on, the iris of the camera just gets bigger and lets more light in. So maybe that has something to do with them not, because people say they can see infrared, and it'll run them off. But maybe that's why we do get what we get.
Why Strangeland? Are you wanting them to come and create havoc? Carl, put your Nest Cam indoors for a few days.
Inside?
Do you feel protected with that? Not that it's filming, but do you feel like it's acting as a sort of protective symbol, even, if anything?
I don't know if it'd do any good, really do any good in the long run, but yeah, I do, because I can just reach over, just grab my phone at any time in the night and just hit the thing, and you can see a live picture. So maybe it might give me 2 or 3 seconds if something's going down, to prepare myself. I don't know. Maybe it just makes me feel bad. It's like having a loaded gun on the side of my bed, which I do have. But that might just be for me, my peace of mind. I don't think it would do anything to them, but
it deters them a little bit, possibly.
Well, getting down to the nastiness of it, what I've always been told is, I got 5 rounds of buckshot and a 12 gauge automatic shotgun, and aim for the face, blind them. You might be able to get a couple shots off.
Just the risk, isn't it, of what else is going to happen after that?
Who knows?
Tim, hi Tim. Do they react to your guitar playing or music positively or negatively?
That's a good question, because me and you talk about this a lot, that we do think there's some type of connection with, people who can play music or draw or paint some kind of artistic art. And I don't think it's so much the act of me playing and they're hearing it. I think it might be something like, if you do have that kind of talent, that maybe some kind of signal that your brain gives off that maybe they get tuned into. Because and if I'd be doing interviews, that'd be the first question to ask. Okay, do you play an instrument? Do you can you draw? Can you paint? Can you write? You have any kind of talent? That'd be the first question I would ask, because it seems to be some kind of connection between artistic people, and and that goes for people who are sick. My dad, I'll tell you about the stories about my dad when he lived back there. He had a stroke. You hear about Alzheimer's patients, autistic people, they seem to be attracted to. Not sure.
Gene Hudson says could be the vibration of the music. I tell you what would be interesting is to play, not you, but someone maybe in the woods or something, is the monks chanting, because that is so grounding. And that is, the vibration of that. I think that would be really interesting to play out in the woods. If anyone wants to try it, let me know if they get anything off it. But look, we've come to our hour. It's been fun. We've tried to work this thing out, but we never will, I don't think.
No.
It's good trying to. Thanks for coming on.
No problem. Glad to be here.
Thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks for your questions tonight. We've had quite a lot of you interacting. So thank you all for that. Thank you for the mods for keeping it all under control. If there was anything that needed to be under control, I doubt it, because you usually have a good audience. So guys, I'll see you next week. See you on the researchers report on Wednesday, and then over on Hidden Existence at the weekend. So until then, everyone, have a good night. Bye.
Good night.